Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 2 of Urc Unloaded. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, Thomas. I'm joined by Tom Shanklin, as always, but we're missing Stephen Ferris. Where is he?
I'll just stop you there, John. I'll just stop you there. This is a podcast, so it might not be everyone's evening. So just to cover all bases, mate, you've got to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
And buonasera, because we're going to talk about some Italian teams. Well, wherever you're watching this and listening to this, if you are, Stevie is not here. HR review?
Gone to Turkey.
Gone to Turkey.
Finally done it.
He dreamt of this for years. He said it would
I find it so weird when you do TV and they start doing adverts for this Unloaded show and Stevie's at the front of it and it looks nothing like him. It doesn't look anything like him. He's got... It's like a dog's favorite tennis ball on the top of his head.
Before they
when you grow
to Wimbledon.
You're young and you grow cress in a yogurt pot. That's what what it's like. It's we have to get some new promo shots.
One of those. Do you ever grow your own? Was it water that used to grow sprouts out of it? You used to do those. I had smiley face in it. It was like basically a tie with some soil. Anyway, Stevie's not. That's not why he's here. Congratulations, Stevie. You have had a human being, and you are Freddie Owen Ferris was born last week. So Stevie's at home with the breastfeeding Brown, making sure that everything's fine. I don't know why he's not here.
Well, he had it on Friday. Well, they had the baby on Friday, so it's now Wednesday. Surely, he can come on for half an hour.
Well,
on a show where he doesn't need to leave his house.
Yeah,
I just think he's taken a bit too far.
Yeah, well, I was at Scarlets in 2018, whatever year, doesn't matter, and 25 of the squad went down with diarrhea and vomiting. I got it, started vomiting, and then my wife went into labor 4 minutes later, and I went to hospital, went through it, sat on one of the beds, managed to get through the labor, and then I played 2 days later. Priorities, isn't it? We got beat. We got hammered. Like skeletons on the pitch. It was embarrassing.
If you need an excuse, to say, "I'm sorry, I can't help with the kids. I've got to work." It's a Wednesday night when we record this, so
yeah.
Hey, they don't make them like they used to, do they?
No, they sure don't. But speaking of that, they do make them good still, Thomas, because we have got our favourite guest of the week so far, and he's going to join us. We joined today by none other than commentator superstar Ryle Nugent, who his first time on the show, he's giggling away. Ryle, welcome to Urc Unloaded. How are you getting on?
I'm not the better for the last 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
Well, that's the edited version. You were with us before. That's the edited version. That's the PC version.
We're just trying to fill Ryle. I mean, you look really smart. For those that listen to this, Ryle's put a lovely shirt on. He's done a proper BBC breakfast sort of style. There'll be nothing underneath. A pair of shorts, if that, I reckon.
Yeah, Ryle,
don't make me stand up, please.
Business up top, party downstairs. Hey,
now you have it. That's
no fooling us, mate.
That's my life in a nutshell, right there.
Ryle, we won't talk all things nonsense. You were at Zebre versus Munster.
Yeah,
you're commentating on the weekend. I mean, talk us through it.
Do you know what? It was one of those that you finish at the end and you put the microphone down and you go, "Did that really happen?" It was. So what? 23 games on the bounce. These guys have played against each other, and Munster have come out winners every time. And halftime in this game, it's 28-15. Munster already have a bonus point for 4 tries, and I'm with Quinny. And historically, at this point in a Zebre match, you're just thinking, okay, how do we get through the next 40 minutes and hope that it's not one-way traffic the whole way? And all of a sudden, Zebre, they just come back, and we said at the start of the second half, if they've got to have any chance, they've got to score next, and they do score next, and it's kind of a gimme. Mike Haley throws a pass he should never have thrown, and he wouldn't probably have thrown against any other opposition. It gets picked off. they're under the sticks, and it gives them a bit of momentum. And Munster just cannot find the pace of the game in the second half, and they get absolutely obliterated. And Zebre this wasn't like the bounce of a ball lucky or a refereeing decision that was questionable lucky. This was a full-on, fully deserved Zebre win. And you know what? It's week 2 of the season, so where it sits and what it tells us is probably a little bit early to call. You know, I mean, Zebre, last year, 1 win, 1 draw. But what they did have was 9 bonus points, lads. And of those 9 bonus points, the vast majority were for being within 7, which kind of tells you that they weren't that far away in a lot of games. They have a new coach who's come from the 20s and from the national 20s, and the national 20s have improved in the last 5 years under him. I think they beat France in the Six Nations this year. Massimo Brunello is his name, and he's taken it on. And there was a self-belief about Zebre, an absolute self-belief. Munster, like I said, fell off it completely. Don't know what happened to them in the changing room. They got hit with a couple of early tries, and they just couldn't find the pace again, and they got overrun. Does that mean that Munster are in trouble? No, I don't think it does. Does it mean Zebre are contenders? No, I don't think it does. But how close we are to either of those things the next couple of weeks will tell. You only asked me one question, and that's 3.5 minutes.
No, it's great. That's all we got time for. It was great to have you.
Thank you so much, mate. Thanks for joining us. They've obviously beaten Munster, and that's 1 win. Like you said last year, they only had 1 win and 1 draw. So, you know, you're going to hope that there's going to be progression from last year. Do you think it might have been a case, because you watch a lot of Munster and you commentate on a lot of Munster, do you think it was a case of maybe Munster watching that Cardiff game? Because Zebre were really ordinary. They came back a little bit towards the end of the game, but that Cardiff game, there were no real signs there of improvement. And then all of a sudden, you look at that Munster game, and you're right. You know, they had to work hard for those tries. You know, they attacked really well. That Trula first try, where they just got on the outside of Munster, was a class try. Do you think it's a case of they've just seen Zebre, they're playing them away, they watched a bit of Cardiff analysis, and they thought, this is in the bag?
I mean, look, you guys know better than anybody. I mean, I don't know whether either of you ever went on a 23-match unbeaten run against another side and were then double scores up at halftime. But mentally, that's got to have an impact. You think you're home and hosed. You think you're done and the job is over. And then you get caught. And how hard it is to get back into the frame of mind to win the match. It just seemed beyond Munster. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be facing Munster this weekend. I wouldn't fancy being Ospreys. You know, like Munster go there and they need a win and they need a performance, because what follows after that for Munster is Croke Park against Leinster, where there are 70,000 tickets already sold, and then a trip to South Africa in rounds 5 and 6. And that's tricky. We know that. So Munster really need to step up against Ospreys, and I think they will. And I'm sure Ospreys are looking at that one going, really? Great. Not this week. Thanks for that. And the flip side of that is, what do Zebre do? Zebre have Stormers. We're going to find out a huge amount. The Stormers home this weekend, and then they go away to Glasgow. And we will see how. I mean, I'm not suggesting that they can win one or both of those games, but are they going to get blown away and be back to scrapping around for bits as the season goes on, or are they going to be now a side where people are going to have to take more notice? I think we'll find
one more win for progression. That's all they need after last year. So they've got one in the second round, which is great. You know, surely you think after that performance they're going to get another win somewhere. More is going to come at home.
Yeah, and I think Benetton, you know, they'll be looking at their own derbies during the season and thinking, we got to call. I mean, they are the little brother there. There's no question, they have been for a long time. But it would. You know what? I think, as objectively as you can, it was a great result for the league. It was a great result for the league, because it's made everybody step up and go, okay, they aren't gimme 4 and 5 point matches at home to Zebre or away to Zebre, and it'll give Zebre something to build on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, I absolutely agree. I watched it back, and I think we always moan a little bit about Zebra, and we talk about, we need them to be competitive for the good of the league. It's really similar to Wales and Six Nations. We need them to come through and be not even a smile, Tom. Nothing from that.
I'll go back to Grand Slams, one since 2005.
Yeah, that's the old news, mate. That's old news, mate. You can't keep going back there. Just give us a little bit of insight, right? And you were, the sort of the aftermath in Ireland and how people have perceived it. Because I've seen a little bit of stuff on social media, and people and ex-players are pretty furious about this.
Yeah, I mean, Donnacha O'Callaghan, who was probably the most outspoken Munster player, he had a proper go, just said it wasn't acceptable. It was the lack of hunger, the lack of passion in as he said, that's part of the DNA. You can have bad days at the office, but that's the very least you expect your team to bring to the party. And he described it as way off the pace. What was interesting, unacceptable is how he described it. What was interesting is his old sparring partner, Dennis Leamy, from that Munster team of the early noughties, is the defence coach with Munster now, and obviously spent some time with Leinster before he went back to Munster. And Leamy was at the press conference today, said Donnacha was right on the money. It wasn't good enough, it wasn't acceptable. So that was actually, do you know what? Talk about a perfect public relations way of diffusing the issue when you get absolutely slaughtered by an ex-player and you sit at the press conference and go, yeah, that's fair enough. It kind of takes the sting out of the room. I mean, he was at pains to say, I think and I'm paraphrasing, they've had challenges before. They've started slowly. They expect very much that they have a great group of players, and they expect a reaction quickly. And that's why I say I wouldn't fancy being at Ospreys this weekend.
No, I don't think it will dent their chances this year. It might dent their ego a little bit. Right. Yeah. How does this sit for you in commentary as one of the biggest shocks in rugby that you've covered?
You know what? I think you got to keep it in context. I think you got to keep it in the context of the fact that it's still second round of the season. It is a huge result. It's a seismic result for Zebra, and you could see that in the celebrations. I mean, there are fans that are going there week in, week out for a long time, and you could see the absolute. It was wonderful to watch. Honestly, I mean, the joy on their faces, and the joy on the players' faces. Because again, you're taking a kicking, like one win, one draw in your 18-match season last year, and then you get one of the, and I think it's fair to describe Munster, one of the aristocrats of the competition comes to town, and you give them like I said, not a lucky beating. You beat them fair up, and no one can quibble with it. It was a heck of a day. There have been bigger shocks, there have been bigger wins, and there will be in the future. It was a terrific day for Zebra. It was a terrific day for Italian rugby. It's one that Munster are going to want to forget really, really quickly. And I think when we shake it all down at the end of the season, we'll look back and say it was a moment. Not sure that it's going to end up being a seismic moment in terms of the overall way the league plays out over the rest of the season.
Well swerved.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am nothing if not
excellent.
Switzerland.
I know. I just wonder. You look at the end of the season, and you get to. We saw how tight it was last year. Top 2, top 4. You miss top 3 or top 2. Sorry, by a point or 2 points, 3 points. It's very easy to look back and say that's the one that they got away that you'd expect. And it's easy with hindsight. It always is easy.
Sure, but I agree with that, John. But you go back 2 years, and Munster had an awful. I mean, and again, it could have been anybody, but Munster had an awful start to the season, and they finished. What did they finish? They had to win. They won their last 5 matches on the bounce to get themselves into the league.
I think they lost to Dragons first game. I think
they did, and and it happens. It happens. Like I said, the context for all of this is the next 2 or 3 weeks and how both clubs play out over the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think the challenge for Munster is significant. Whatever about Ospreys this weekend, going to Leinster in Croke Park, like I said, and I fully expect that to be sold out by the time we get there in 2 weeks' time, and then having to go to South Africa off the back of that for 2 games, it'll be really interesting to see where they are after 6 rounds.
Yeah. Katie made a good point. He was on the show with Donnacha, and he was talking about there's only so much you can fix with energy and passion, and that's the one thing that was probably lacking, certainly in that game. But you look at their defense, conceding 33 in round 1, 42 round 2. There's some big changes that need to be fixed, and certainly energy and passion don't get you there. Listen, Ralph, thanks so much for coming on. We could listen to you all day and talk to you all day about the game. It's been a real pleasure to have you on. I'm sure we'll see you in the studio.
Boys. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Ralph.
Very kind. You were very kind to him then.
Yeah, I'm a good host, a gracious host, a generous host.
Are you the type of guy that? Because I do it all the time. Like you get plumbers or builders around. Do you offer? Well, maybe not builders, but someone that might be in the house for an hour or so. Do you offer them a drink?
Only if they're there for a couple of days. If they're coming in for an hour, no chance.
I bet you don't let them use the toilet either, do you? Sorry, mate.
Go outside.
I've hired you a Portaloo.
We actually had a Portaloo in the drive. They didn't even use it. Our boys loved it. I was thinking.
Is that for you? Is that for you? Like when you're hungover, get out of the house.
Go and hide. Go for a walk.
Hey, John. A couple of players play well for Zebre. Well, not more than a couple, but a couple have really stood out for me. One was Alexandra Fuso at 9. I thought he was excellent, really good. He was on for about 60 minutes. They took him off. Trula was outstanding.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Just his intercept, I think, might have been the key moment. 28-15, Munster are ahead. He intercepts that, and it goes all the way. But Ralph spoke about it, about them just creating tries, and not just luck, not just down to Munster mistakes. Inevitably, maybe there might be a few mistakes to get into positions, but they finished their tries off. The guard defence for Munster was sometimes abysmal, which is a fairly easy thing to fix. Now it's happened because you're not going to be making, I wouldn't have thought, the same mistakes like that again. These are professional players. You switch off momentarily. You know your eyes chase the 9. You move a little bit, and they're gone. But yeah, so impressive. And it's crazy, mate, isn't it, to think 2 years ago, Zebre didn't win a game.
Yeah. Mate. Do you know what thing with Zebre? We've always said it like you see the tries they scored, and was it just one of those days where everything stuck? Because they've always had an attacking ability, but decision making. Last year they're trying to run from their own 22 turnover try.
Yeah,
but there's never been a question about skill set. It's more a decision making question, and it was unbelievable, unbelievably good. And like Ryle said, it wasn't like dodgy decision in the last minute. It's like no. You put them to the sword here.
Yeah, really impressed. And I didn't see it coming at all. Like I was watching the results, and I was, if you were trying to guess who's going to win this game, you're going to go every single day of the week, going to go Munster.
Every time.
This was a shock, but massive. And the turnover at the end was just huge. You could see what it meant to him. But massive game for them. So, look, I really hope they do better than last season, because then you're seeing progression. You're seeing a team 2 years ago didn't win a game. You're seeing a team last year that won 1, drew 1. They've only got to win 2 games this year. Now,
that's it.
So
exactly. Yeah, still a long season if they don't win. So I'm going to ask you you've got young kids. Tell me what the celebration that Trula did after his first try is called.
The griddy.
The griddy. You did know it. You did know it. There we go. I didn't think you'd have that one. I'll give you another imaginary point if you tell me who did it. Who's the originator of that celebration? Someone
on YouTube. Speed. I don't know.
Right. Justin Jefferson plays for the Vikings. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, my 6-year-old does the griddy.
Yeah, my kids do. Yeah. That's the reason I know.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move on. Another big game.
Yes.
Sharks are my dark horses for the season, and I saw enough in this game to think that isn't a crazy decision given who's coming back, but Connor did enough to get it done in the end.
Yeah, they did. Esterhuizen showed his class, especially at the start. I mean, the guy's massive. He's powerful. The line he hits for his first try off the back of the lineup, just that tail gunner. If you look at that closely, Ioane, I mean, if you've got time to rewatch that try back, have a look. Just gets his feet stuck underneath him, doesn't adjust, sits down on his heels. Esterhazy just powers through, and Ioane can't do anything to do it at all. He moves up and just stops and waits for him. Esterhazy runs his arm, goes straight through. His angle, for his second try was just as good. A bit more work to do, goes through 2 Connacht players there. And at one stage, they were 27-7 up. And he thought, Connacht have to do something magical to get themselves back in. And they do, don't they, John, with Kyle Ford.
Player.
Yeah.
He's made a good start to the year this year.
He was my favourite player. Then he went a bit quiet. And I didn't like him as much. But now I like him again now.
Yeah. I thought Connacht good. Like, their maul was good. Again, not the same as Edinburgh. They've always had a good attack and they've always been capable. Their defence last year was pretty abysmal at times. If you're not watching now, the Jennings try was the killer one.
Yes.
Turn the game, length of the pitch, gets them within range, and then they take it from there. They've got a disallowed try. So you can't say Connacht weren't deserving, the Sharks to go that close and then only end up with 1 bonus point with the last kick of the game. That will hurt a lot. I just think you look at them, you think about who's coming back for them, the quality that is coming back into their team. It's hard to see how they won't be, if not top 4, somewhere near it. But
maybe. Top 4 is going to be hard, I think, this year to get into, but they'll definitely be in the playoffs. And we've seen it before, haven't we? Glasgow, Munster. You can come from anywhere. Ooh, sexy. That's John undoing his zip of his top.
Yeah.
You can come from anywhere and take this league. So it's about peaking at the right time. So, yeah, they were good. I watched the Ospreys Stormers game, John. This was a great game for me. I had a bit of everything. The Stormers got off to a pretty decent start. There was this random crossfield kick, which was like a roundhouse kick, which yeah, it was. It was like a volley in football outside the box, just wrapping your foot around the top of it. It was a brilliant kick, but that sort of took the Ospreys by surprise. But they got themselves right back into it. Owen Watkins does really well with some nice feet to set up a try for Jack Morgan. Links with Ruben Morgan-Williams, who was man of the match for the Ospreys. And it's difficult there were some class players for the Ospreys in this game. Ruben Morgan-Williams with his chip and chase and his offload then to Dan Edwards. That combination was brilliant. It showed maturity. There was a level of creativity as well. Really excited to hopefully see that develop. That was one really good game they had together, but you've got to see that over a prolonged period. So that was good. Jack Morgan was good. Tipperick was class as always. James Ratty.
Jack Morgan makes a big difference when he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, he might play mostly 6, I think, this year, even though he started off as a 7, because if Tipperick's going to play 7 or Harry Deves, then Jack Morgan probably has to play 6 to fit in. If Tommy Reffel plays 7 for Wales, then he's probably going to play 6 for Wales. He can get away with it. He's not tall like I say you were. Like you could play all over the back row because your height. You could play at 7, 8, 6.
My skills.
You might lose him a little bit in a line-out option. Like he might not be as tall as a Plumtree or player like that, but his carrying is up there with the best.
Agreed.
So,
Tom.
yeah, really good performance from the Ospreys against not a bad Stormers team at the Brewery Field. I think when conditions are good, they're going to love playing at the Brewery Field. Bit of atmosphere. Yeah. It's going to be a lot louder. They got your stand there as well.
Was it up? How was it looking?
Be a lot louder than the Liberty or the Swansea.com.
Yeah, I agree. Well, 2 other Welsh regions in action. It was Gareth Davis we spoke about last week. Scarlets against Cardiff. Some start for Scarlets. They tried the old switcheroo. I think New Zealand used to do this quite a bit with Bowden Barrett, and from one length of the pitch to the other. I mean, great try, but again, Scarlets got their noses in front, and it was the same as last year for me. A couple of sin bins and defending with 13 players, and the wheels came off to an extent. And Cardiff were good for it, I think.
Yeah, well, the Scarlets didn't score after 10 minutes. That is a little bit of a worry. They started off really big. Matt Sherratt took the blame for that little switcheroo kickoff. It was his idea, and Tom Rogers just leaps out, plucks it. Scarlets were good for sort of 15, 20 minutes. They had Cardiff on the ropes, but Cardiff got themselves back into it. Their face play attack, but their face play attack's good, John. They at the moment, the first 2 games, they've been starved a little bit of attacking ball. They're quite happy to defend, but when they have it and they can line themselves up and they realign pretty well, they look sharp either off box kicks or multi-phase, 4 or 5 phases down the line. They can get themselves into really good position, and they attack really well. So that was good. The scrum was good as well. They took a couple of opportunities on Scarlett's 5-meter line when they could have gone for post. They feel like they've got them under pressure. Ryan Elias is off. Kieran Azarati seems to be doing a job on Alec Hepburn, who gets yellow carded for hinging in. And then there's 2 players off. A space somewhere on the field. They find it on the left-hand side and score, try and go over. So I think Cardiff will be very happy with that performance. There were some really good defensive sets from them, a couple of big hits, a couple of aggressive hits as well. And they clawed themselves back in after a shaky start. So Cardiff 2 from 2, second in the league. Yeah, Scarlets, maybe. It might be too early at the moment, but maybe it's going to be a bit of deja vu because, 50-0 up, not scoring a point after 10 minutes. They've got to do better than that. And at some stages, they looked a bit lost, John. You always feel that when a 9 starts looking round, going one way, turning back, going the other way, there's either a lack of communication or just something's not right. That happened a fair bit.
Yeah, it could be a long season for Scarlets. They've got Connacht in town next week, which could be a tough one. At least another home game for them. But
yes,
time
definitely
on us, as we know with these things. Bulls Edinburgh. Now I was covering this game, and this was not a classic. This was a pretty turgid game, and just didn't really come to life. All the talk, again, we spoke about last week. How would Edinburgh's attack fare? Where was the shape? And to be honest, there wasn't really any. It was, again, it's altitude, and we joke about that, we speak about that, but it was a pretty poor performance from Edinburgh. And they kind of got back in the game, but they got back in the game in 78 minutes on the clock. They win. Bulls kicked the ball out in the full from the penalty to take them 8 points clear, excuse me. And first phase off the scrum, Ben Healy kicks the ball away, and you're like, I don't know. I just think game management, when it's going badly, it's going badly. And the try that they scored, 50-22, that came after 16 phases that Edinburgh were attacking. 16 phases of one-out runners. And it was so fast, the cameraman missed it. They take a quick line out, and from the 50-22, and they go from 5 meters out, and Kane and Moody scores under the sticks. And it's, I don't know. And I said in the studio after, I don't want to be too harsh with them because it's round 2, but if all the talk in pre-season is about attack, not really seen it yet. I appreciate also that they've played Leinster and the Bulls, 2 of the best teams in the competition. So can't judge them too harshly. But again, like we spoke about months, it's got to get turned around pretty quickly, and they've got to go again to the Lions at altitude, who had a really good win last week and are really hard to beat at the Highveld. So
this is the best time to play the South African teams at the moment. I think start the season when they're missing a lot. When they're missing a lot of their players. They don't have to worry about.
Edinburgh don't know what they're trying to do yet, I don't think.
Yeah, but they don't have to worry about that. It's sort of Edinburgh. I think they're a good enough team to find form, and I think they will. They should do, because they've got the players, I think, to do it. But I mean, look, they got a bonus point against the Bulls. It is a tough place to go, but you're right. They should have done a little bit more, because, as I said, I think these South African teams are there at the moment while they're missing a lot of their big names. So, if they beat the Lions, John, then that's going to be
they take that, and then they're sitting on so 1.5 wins from 3, which is not the worst place to be given where they finished.
No.
Second game, I covered Lions against Ulster. And I think we all in the studio thought Lions would win. Ulster were so sloppy from the start of the game, a real lack of energy, and they came out after half-time and a bit more energy. But the Lions, we've seen it time and time again when they play there. Nobody scores more tries.
Quad Horn break, mate.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that, but then we spoke about that after the game. The quality of the kick and the quality of the chase is just way off. So, again, it's a hard place to go play, but I think the lack of energy, especially in the opening 20, 30 minutes, would be a real concern to Richie Murphy. I thought we spoke about it again. Werner Koch is probably the one player in that team that plays with a sense of urgency from minute one all the way through. So, yeah, it's I just thought also were a little bit off, and I think the Lions will probably win the majority of their games there because it's just such a hard place to go and play.
I also think they did look a little bit tired, and altitude gets you, mate. Like we speak about it every week over there. You know, when teams go to places like the Lions, the Bulls, it does sneak up on you. And at some stages, I looked at that game and I thought they're out on their feet now. That's your point earlier. You want to there's no energy.
Teams away. I don't think you want to go to altitude week 2 and suck up the big ones. I thought Max Wani was unbelievable.
Yes, he was.
I mean, I'm talking about there's so much space when you play over there, and he is.
I really like Van Week.
Yeah,
like he came off the bench, but he played so well for him, and he's the type of player that exactly who you want in your squad, because he's not really going to be in that South African mix because they've got too many centres in the national team. So he's going to be playing there week in, week out. He's the clubman that you want. Doesn't really let you down at all. Know exactly what you're going to get, and knows his way to the try line. So he's one of my favourites, as well as Kyle Ford. Yeah,
Kyle Ford and Van Week.
Yeah. Talk to me about Glasgow Benetton, because I tweeted something today, John, about.
Yeah, I saw that. You were loving it.
I'm loving it, mate. That first try is just sexy. You can't beat that. You can't defend that. It is, when it's done like that, when it's done as flat and the timing's there, you've got 3 or 4 options and you just can't drift off anyone. But Tuipulotu, again, magnificent.
Yeah, I think I know Glasgow won lost in round 1. They look to me like they're really at the races this year. They look like they're not far away from where they finished off last year. Franco's brought all the big players in. Matt Fagerson, for me, probably one of the best players in the opening couple of rounds, along with Kyle Stain. We had almost a love-off session about Kyle Stain because he just, I don't know what you think, Jack. He just does everything he does is good. I don't remember last time. I didn't think
that until maybe last year. Like I've always thought he's good, but I just think last year he got back in the Scotland squad. His performances with Glasgow were excellent. Like his leadership as well.
Honestly, I think he is. Yeah, Mr. Consistent. And when you say Mr. Consistent, it's like, like he's a 7 out of 10. No, he's not. He's playing at 8.5 out of 10 every week. He's unbelievable in the air. He's physical, breaks tackles, chases the ball like a dog. Yeah, he was fast. Yeah, fast. So he's they look good. I would say Benetton were poor. I was chatting to Callum McRae, who is the Benetton defence coach, who was at Edinburgh when I was there, and they're a little bit hamstrung at the moment because every 4 years they have a presidential election for the union, and because it's going on at the moment, they basically sent all the Italian players over on tour to the South Sea Islands. So they're missing a load of guys. They're missing Albornoz to Argentina. They're missing 5 guys to Argentina, apparently. They've invested a lot of money. And then to put out that standard performance, the red card was...
worst I've seen for a while.
Yeah, it was one of the dumbest you'll see. And then they just lost it. I mean, talk about implosion. Yellow card. It should have been 60, 70 points. And we spoke to Franco Smith afterwards. And he's quite funny, Franco. He doesn't give much away. And he's pretty straight-laced. And he was a bit frustrated at the lack of their, I guess, killer instinct. But Benetton was so poor. I mean, just so disappointing. So, Yeah, again, round 2. We'll see where they end up. Let's go to the last game, Tom. The last game, and we thought it was going to be one-way traffic, and it kind of was. Leinster 34, Dragons 6.
Yeah, I don't really think the score reflects the game too much. I thought the Dragons in the first half were really good. They brought quite a physical edge, John. Their line speed was good. Their collisions were good. They were slowing down a lot of Leinster's ball. The issue they had in the first half, the Dragons, they made 2 line breaks and they couldn't link with either of those line breaks. I think it was Ewan Rossop who made those breaks. They lost Angus O'Brien at the start, and Ewan Ross was playing 15, and he's fast, but predominantly he's a winger. And he went through a couple of gaps, and I just don't think, he linked particularly well. And they didn't make the most of that. Even when he went to ground, they didn't do enough with the ball. I think in the second half, though, there was a clear physical edge to Leinster. They'd obviously had a bit of a rocket at halftime, and they came out, and all of a sudden then there was much more of a physical edge. There was much more line speed. There were much bigger collisions defensively as well, and they didn't really have anywhere for the Dragons to go, because everything they threw at Leinster, they were just getting hammered back. Max Deegan showed up really well in the second half. I don't think his was a try. Like the referee, Mike Adamson said, try on field. Is there any reason why I can't award it? And the TMO should have said yes, because every single angle you showed, it isn't a try. He gets held up. So I still find it bizarre from 3 angles that it's clear that it's not a try. Right. You got, like, these things you need to get right. And even though it wouldn't really have, you don't know, but there's a high percentage it wouldn't have had an effect on the game, because Leinster
but it's too easy to say that.
But it is too easy. But
principle, Tom.
It is the principle. But I mean, you just can't compare the two sides, John, because you've got a team on a 4.6 million budget, and then you've got a team on allegedly 11 plus, million budget. You've got big Joe McCarthy coming off the bench, Josh Van der
Fleer, Slimani.
Yeah, Slimani. Like,
yeah,
you just can't compare the two with the size of squads they got. But what I will say is I saw enough in that game for me to not be too negative and not too upset and disappointed with the Dragons' performance, because I thought they did okay, and I thought they showed a bit of grit and a bit of energy when they needed to. They might not get many chances against a team like Leinster, and when they do, they got to put them to bed. So.
Yeah, well, we talked about was Zebra against Munster the biggest upset. I think if Dragons had beat Leinster at the Aviva, that would have been right up there. And it's tough for them because they won round 1, and you're thinking, where are they? You don't really want Leinster round 2. You want to see a real gauge of where we are. So, Leinster too good, 2 from 2, 10 points, usual business for them. Moving on to the next section, then, Tom, we did it for the first time last week. URC Unloaded Player of the Round.
Yeah, Jacob Trulett. I think we had to pick someone from Zebre because of what a game that was and what a win that was. He was excellent, scored 2 tries, line breaks, the lot. I think a shout going out to Alexandre Fuso as well at 9, who scored 2 tries or made 2 breaks. Can't remember if it was 2 tries. He definitely scored 1, but he was pretty instrumental in getting them on the front foot. So, Jacob Trulett, you are URC player of the round. So, congratulations. Hopefully they'll do like a surprise tomorrow, John, in training.
Oh, that'll be massive.
An award will be given to him. They video it, and his parents will come in.
Yeah, but they might still be looking for Jacob. His name is Jacopo. So,
Jacopo.
if you're going to get things right, Tom, you told me off for not saying good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Let's get the names right. Rants of the week.
Yeah.
Got any?
Is it Zebra or Zebra? I never know. I say them both during games. I need someone to tell me.
Zebra.
Or Zebra.
It's definitely not Zebra.
Well, can someone tell us how we should pronounce it? Because
I'll call you now.
It's really,
Zebra.
We've done this league for years, and I still don't know. I say them both during games.
Yeah. Any other rants other than your?
Yeah, just when your wife's given birth and you haven't, you can still show up on a podcast 4 days later. You don't need to take paternity leave to join your mates for half an hour.
I know, it says a lot about what he thinks of us. It would be a nice break for him to come and join us, but he decided not to. Yeah, that's my rant, Stevie.
Right.
Stevie,
what about your flight? No issue with flights?
Yeah, the flight wasn't amazing. I travelled back, thought I was quite smug. Got the 6:30 flight home, headphones on, and I realised 10 minutes into the flight they were not very high, and headphones off. Captain says we have an issue. The landing gear's jammed. So anyway, we're losing altitude. Poor Connie McLaughlin was not having an amazing time on the flight, but we got turned around back to Dublin, which isn't the first time. And then Aer Lingus were great. They put us on a bus on the runway for 3 hours, which was
lush.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But we got home. And it's not really a rant. These things happen. But so yeah, that's kind of the story of my life at the moment, Tom.
A bit sketchy.
Yeah,
do you start to do voice notes home?
I did look. I was sat in 1C.
Do not open the drawers in the garage.
It wasn't me.
They were there when I arrived.
I did actually. This is I was trying not to sketch it, and I did look at the the instructions for how you open the emergency exit, and I was thinking, if we land in water, how we get out here? And then I just kind of resigned myself to the fact if it goes down, that's what a way to go out, eh? Yeah, what a way. Yeah. Traveling back from Dublin, doing what I love. So anyway, I'm on the same flight this week, so if Aer Lingus are listening, hopefully we can get a plane that works. We shall move on to. So we should probably say what Stevie's rant is.
I got another rant. I've got
one for Stevie on behalf of Stevie.
All right, try to hear mine first.
Go on
then. The third pint. That's my rant. The third pint. So after a show, you might in Dublin or wherever we are, you might have a couple of pints of Guinness. That's fine.
It's great.
That's fine. It's nice. It's lovely. You're a little bit dehydrated anyway because you've done a lot of talking. The third pint is the killer. I've worked out. The third pint is the third pint is either right, we're staying out pint, or it's okay, I'm going to bed now, but I'm gonna have to get up twice in the night for a wee.
What did you do?
So it's no win.
What did you have?
Stayed out, obviously. Legend. No, I went to bed, but I had 2 wees in a night and didn't sleep properly. Okay.
Well, that will be the last time. I've got Stevie's rant. Stevie is not happy, is he? About Ulster.
No.
He's not happy about no business anyway. I'm just gonna leave that out there. He's not happy about some of the travel arrangements on tour.
Yeah, they've done a detour somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah, they're in Cape Town. Not allowed to enjoy themselves, Stevie. So he's not happy, Ulster, if you're listening. Add that to his rap sheet. Let's have a quick preview of round 3 then. Let's just follow through them. Cardiff. I think this would be a good game. Friday night, Cardiff versus Glasgow in Cardiff.
Mm-hmm. Weather's good, I believe, this week. So
you'll be there.
Yep. Do you know what? I think it will be a good game. I do think it's going to be tough to topple the current champions. But if I see enough of Cardiff enough of their attack, enough of what they wanted to create, they've got to clean up a little bit on the field. I think they can't start as slow, concede as slow. And turnovers at the start of the game were pretty poor. But part of me thinks they could do it, but the sort of sensible part of me thinks Glasgow are too well drilled at the moment. But they're doing good. Look, and also, John, a lot of the new players that Cardiff have signed have made a really good impact. So Josh McNally's been good. Dan Thomas has been really good. Callum Sheedy's been good. So the guys are fitting in well, but it's difficult to look past Glasgow.
So you're saying Glasgow. I agree. Scarlet's Connacht, hard to look past Connacht, I think, for me. I really want Scarlets to win that, but I just...
John, I go with Scarlets.
You're going to go Scarlets?
Yeah, I think there might be a bit of a level of desperation there because, they're searching for a win. Yeah. And I just think at home, this could be an opportunity for them. but it will be tough.
Yeah, the frustration in me and the grumpy person in me thinks, where's the frustration? Where's the desperation? Sorry, in round 2, you're playing for someone who's been in the club 250 games, and they start well, and
but then he wasn't that great himself. If we're being
there's not necessarily about. There's no guarantee you're going to play well, but you hope. There's going to be that desperation,
emotional high.
I just don't think emotion is the fix. It's probably lacking a little bit at times, and it's sometimes you can say it's fair enough given where they were last year, but. Yeah, a few things to fix it down at Scarlets. Lions, Edinburgh on Saturday. I'm going to say Lions.
I'll go Edinburgh.
Oh, yeah, God, we're not agreeing on anything today.
No.
Okay.
I just feel they got a game in them, I think.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I hope so. They've got a good squad. But tough place to go and play.
Yeah.
Bulls versus Ulster.
Bulls.
At
home.
Yeah, I think Bulls will be. We talk about you don't want to play Munster this week. I don't think you're going to want to play Bulls this week. I think Jake White was pretty disappointed after the game, and I think there'll be a vastly improved Bulls performance. Next game, Benetton Leinster. This could be quite interesting over at Benetton.
Leinster. I think with Leinster this year, John, that because they haven't won anything since 2021, I do think that there's a bit more pressure on them this year now. I know we say that every year. I don't think they'll go and beat them, but I think they'll beat Benetton. But I think my point being, I think they'll take stronger teams.
Yeah. Again, it depends what side Benetton put. If they get a couple of their guys back from Italian duty who they're missing, Ryan Smith, who's obviously not Italian, but he was missing last week. Lamaro, there's loads of guys missing. I'm going to say Benetton. We're just disagreeing on everyone. Dragons, Sharks. I'm going to say Sharks.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to do well to stop someone like Esther Hazen if he plays on that gain line, and then they're on the back foot. So it's difficult. But yeah.
Zebra Stormers.
I'm going to go.
Is Zebra going to back it up?
I just think a team like the Stormers, who have got some quality players in there, I think they'll probably be pretty disappointed after that Ospreys result, and we might see a bit more of a reaction from them, possibly.
So you're going to, I think, just because I want Zebra to win, I'm going to say Zebra, and just to keep the pattern up. Last one of the weekend, Munster versus Ospreys. Hard to call a lot of these.
It is.
You want to say Ospreys, but I think
I really do. There's
going to be a reaction from Munster. They can't be. That's bad.
That's often the case, isn't it? I'm going to go Ospreys, mate.
So am I. I agree with you. I think I'm going Ospreys as well. That's us, Shanks. Flies by when there's a 2, isn't it?
It's so much better.
It's so much better, honestly. Ben, if you're listening, you're not making biscuits with tea.
It's not as negative.
Yeah, we don't spend half an hour.
It's energy, and you're ill as well. And you're ill because I've seen a herbal tea bag with a little bit of paper on the end coming out your cup. So, thanks.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Thanks for digging in.
No, thanks. No,
you're not with me on Friday, are you?
No, I am. I'm over in Dublin again, so I'm not.
Who have I got? Wilson.
Wilson. Good. Enjoy that. Well, we're going to finish on that note. As always, you can catch all the games in Premier Sports, and we'll be back again next week with or without Stephen Ferris. Take it easy.